Love it. Right, we're on. We are on. So, my guest tonight is Sam. Sam or Jesus?
Whichever you prefer, right?
Sam, I remember when we first met. Do you?
I remember the Christmas party. I'm sure we've bumped past before that.
It was before that, wasn't it?
When was the first time we met?
You were in your car training.
Oh.
Do you remember?
Oh, vaguely, yes.
And I think we were in the test. I was in the test centre car park, and all I seen was this car bouncing. And I can't remember if it was me or Marlene. I said, "Oh, they're having a hard time with their."
Was this with Mike outside the fight? Oh, yeah. My goodness me, yes.
And I says,
he was reminding me right up that day, absolutely.
And all I could think, and I knew it was training, and I just thought, oh, the clutch. So I think that was the first, and then we had a wee chat there. That was the first time I think we officially met, and then it was the Christmas night out.
Yep.
And I just remember within about 5 seconds of us talking about podcasts and stuff, and then you had said about sound, you knew about sound engineering, and I just thought, yeah, we'll go on fine.
Yeah.
Let's geek out.
Absolutely. We've not been wrong yet.
So tell me a wee bit about when you first started learning to drive, but in the beginning, how old were you when you passed?
So I had my very first lesson on my 17th birthday.
Nice.
My dad was very keen that I had lessons and very kindly paid for them.
Nice.
Which took the pressure off me a little bit. I was 17. I think I started on February 5th and I passed on July 1st. I don't know why I remember the dates, but I do.
I remember mine as well.
When was yours?
So same as you, I had my 17th birthday first lesson. So that was November the 1st, the year 2000.
I won't tell you when mine was.
Or 99. When was yours?
2010.
Was it?
Yeah.
2010. And I passed 3 months to the date of my first lesson. I was getting something like 4 lessons a week.
Ah, okay, yeah.
My dad paid for mine as well. Mum and dad paid for mine, but that's when it was £10 an hour.
Oh, I think off the top of my head, mine were around about 20.
Right. Yeah. It just keeps going up. Eh? Unlucky for some, lucky for some.
Lucky for some others, yeah.
And so what did you remember? Tell me about your test. You passed first time.
Yeah, so I passed first time with 2 minors, which didn't think was too bad of a result. We were just chatting briefly before this and I had quite an interesting story about it, which is I should have failed my first test.
Should have, but didn't.
So it's one of those things, it goes to show you that if you do drive well on the day and you have a nice confident drive, a lot of things can be up to examiners' judgment if they think you're a competent, safe driver.
Got that leeway to...
Yeah, they have a little bit of leeway with these things. So, yeah, my first test, it's one of these clips that's going around on TikTok and YouTube, it seems, at the minute as well. There's lots of things about people stopping at red lights so they shouldn't have to. Right. You might have seen some of these clips yourselves or anyone watching. But, crossroad, red light, went through as it went green, turning left. There's another little traffic light on the left, which is for the road going the opposite direction. I got stuck in the middle and thought it applied to me. Chappie had to give me a nudge to get me moving on. This was within about, I think, 37 seconds of the start of the test.
Right at the beginning.
Right at the beginning. So I'm obviously sitting there going, oh my goodness me. But the other thing I remember is I think it was the very first test of the morning. I think I'd slept about 2 hours.
Proper nerves.
Well, it was one of those weird things where because I think I was a little bit nervous getting started, but I was so tired. And then because I made that mistake so soon, weirdly, I was really relaxed for the rest of the drive because I already thought I'd naffed it up.
I find that with people who say to me a lot, I thought I'd failed and it was almost like pressure's off.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was like for me. And then got back to the ends and was kind of going, okay, here we go. Yeah, just give me the result. But no, lo and behold, it was a really good drive. Happy to say you've passed. And I was really quite happy to say the least.
So the examiner did nice. Is examiner's Dundee, was it?
No. So if you can tell from my very strong Scottish accent, I'm originally from England, southeast England, Norfolk. So my test was in a little place called Lowestoft, right on the coast.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, way back down home.
Yeah, and it's Dundee. You're working now.
Yes, that's
living
right.
now.
Yeah, I live just outside St Andrews, and then kind of get a choice of Dundee or Kirkcaldy, but like Dundee, it's a little bit easier.
And are you ever through this way, or is it mainly those two?
Mainly Dundee. It's just the travel time between otherwise, because if you finish lesson in Dundee and then have to come down sort of Kirkcaldy way would be the next best place, you kind of 40, 50 minutes in between lessons, which not great.
Yeah. And your current franchise, your company you're with?
Just by myself.
You're just on your own at the moment, are you?
Yeah, so I've set it up,
I see, right. And are you planning on building?
Yeah, eventually I'd quite like to. That's kind of why I sort of set it up as a driving school branded rather than just my own name. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I know lots of people do that as well. But I sort of thought it might be a nice little idea. Yeah.
And what about training people to become instructors? Is that something you feel you'd be up for doing?
I mean, obviously I'm really green to it at the moment. I've only just qualified last year. But should things go well, it's definitely something I think I'd be interested in doing in the future, absolutely. Yeah. But certainly know a good few people who would do it for me if I wasn't there.
Well, the thing is, the way it is now, it's different from what it used to be. It used to be,
of course,
this role play thing for the examiner.
Yeah, because you and I must have had very different qualifying experiences. Yeah,
you didn't know what you were going to get until you turned up. They would tell you on the day.
Yeah,
it just seems so much better now. Not so much that you can rehearse things, but just you know who you're taking, you know your person.
You know, hopefully, roughly what you're going to get on the day. Yeah. Kind of go into it with at least to start with a plan.
I think it's much, much better at the moment. So what about the routes where you passed? What compared to sort of maybe Kirkcaldy or Dundee or Dunfermline?
Yeah, I don't remember too much about them. It's a very long while ago. But I mean, Lowestoft itself was probably a little bit smaller than Dundee.
Right.
It's just a kind of quiet little town, really. There's not too much going on there. I think all I really remember was you very quickly get taken out of the town along some country roads, down to some big roundabouts on a dual carriageway, and then back into town and park up, and you were done, sort of thing.
And so was there the dreaded things, like what we have in our areas, everyone gets caught out here, this horrible roundabout? And
not so much that I remember in Lowestoft, actually. I think there was, there definitely is in Dundee where I teach at the moment, certainly. If there was, either I don't remember or I was very good at it. But no, I think there was a couple of weird bits here and there. The only things I really remember was just a couple of one-way streets I love to take you down where you obviously have to position on the right for a right-hand turn and these sorts of things. But no, not so much that I remember in terms of big, difficult roundabouts or anything like that. A couple of exciting bridges.
Exciting bridges.
More exciting to drive over than they were to... yeah.
Where I passed in Kinross, they're shut down now, the test centre, but I think there was maybe one roundabout, and you didn't always get it on your routes. I don't remember much about mine other than the guy was nice. He made me feel at ease.
Yeah.
Got me onto these big country roads, and I just remember thinking, right, get speed up.
Yeah.
And before I knew it was back to test centre.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that so many people say to me, and I'm sure you hear the same as well, is just how quick the test feels.
Aye.
It's even the mock tests that we do all the time. It's sort of, you sort of feel like, for us, I'm sure it feels like we're sat there for 40 minutes marking away, but for them, I always sort of say, how long do you feel like that was? And everyone kind of goes, it's like 5 or 10 minutes and we were just back here. Yeah.
What I thought was when I passed, I had 2 minors as well.
Yeah.
My instructor drove us home, as we do now. So for Kinross back to Cowdenmeath, what I should have been doing is thinking, I've just passed. Yes. But what I couldn't help but do was think, he is awfully close to the left.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Honestly.
You're sitting there going, as a professional driver now, in my opinion.
I think what it was is because I had all my reference points for being in his side.
Yes. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm in the left side of his car going home.
Yep.
And I'm looking down there at the grass verge. I'm thinking, God,
that's awfully close. Yeah.
I'm sure he knows what he's doing. I'm sure he knows what he's doing, but so after you passed your test, what did you get? What did you buy? What was your first car?
So I got I passed in 2010 and I got a 1996 Vauxhall Corsa.
96?
I'd learnt in a Vauxhall Corsa, so I was quite keen to get another one. Stay with a car you're familiar with and these sorts of things. But it was nothing like the car I'd learnt in at all, because it was this, I think it cost me about £500 off the top of my head. It was one of those, no power steering.
Right.
Not sure it had much else other than a steering wheel, to be honest. I think it was old enough as well that I think most of the people starting learning today probably won't even know what these are, but it was old enough that it had a cassette player.
Right. Did it have a choke?
It wasn't quite that bad.
Right.
It must have been the year after they kind of got
After the
phased
choke.
out, I think. Yeah, fortunately, because I don't think one of the things I've never had to do. Yeah, very strange. Yeah, 96 Corsa. No power steering, so I learned a lot about dry steering.
Yeah. Tough.
Very quickly learned how to deal with that.
Did it go up hills?
Sometimes.
Did it start in the cold?
The good thing about Norfolk and Suffolk is that it was all, well, especially where I live, Great Yarmouth is built on a sandbank. So it's about as flat gets.
Right.
I think there's one hill where we get to the beach where they kind of have a little ramp down to let the boats on. And that was where every single hill start had to be done for every lesson, every test. So you just always see these queue of like learners and people on tests just queuing up for this one hill. So, which I never dared brave again after I passed my test. So maybe it does, maybe it doesn't.
And have you had any car trouble? You know, any breakdowns, or did it?
Touch wood, I never actually had any trouble with it. I don't think I've ever had any trouble, any bad trouble. Never really broken down or anything with any of the cars I've had. No little bumps, no nothing really.
No accidents.
Touch wood,
Yeah.
so far.
Good.
I've had a clean sheet.
Yeah. And what? How many cars have you had? What's your car history?
Oh,
I like to ask this question.
Yeah, all those things. So I had a Vauxhall Corsa, and then after that I had another Vauxhall Corsa, a slightly newer one. And then what did I have after that? Then weirdly I upgraded. I really, so this was about when I moved to Scotland, about 2014, 2015. And I was really keen. It was kind of when EVs started becoming a little bit more interesting, more mainstream. And I was really keen to get one, but they were just a little bit, this is like the first generation Leaf where you could maybe get 10 miles if you were lucky, sort of thing.
If you're going downhill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I thought, next best thing, I'll get a hybrid. Why not? And then I was just scrolling through Auto Trader as you do, and I spotted a Honda CR-Z, which I thought looked pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize it was a hybrid, and it was technically. Technically a hybrid. It kind of has these little battery assist things that helps you get a little bit of oomph when you're accelerating. But the extra weight that the battery adds completely cancels out.
Yeah, there's a thing with hybrids where they advertise on the TV as self-charging hybrids.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like to sort of say, "Oh, it's not technically self-charging," but the engine is the fuel that you're buying is charging the battery, right? So
yes.
I guess it kind of is.
Yeah.
But it's not free. You're paying for that through the fuel.
Yeah, totally. It's one of these things you get like about 2 minutes of electric oomph helping you move off, and then it'd be dead, and you'd have to charge it up the rest of the way for the drive.
It's a stepping stone into EV, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. So I had that for a little while, really liked it, and then we I ended up selling that at some point when I moved in with my partner because we just didn't need two cars. We had a Kia Ceed for a bit, which just seemed like a nice little car because she'd just passed her test at the time as well.
Right.
So we thought we'd get something that was similar to what she'd driven, and I wasn't particularly upset what it was.
Yeah.
Had that for a bit, and then we moved here. Well, not here, I moved. Not Dunfermline. Moved to where we are now, and I had a van for a bit when I was doing all my sound stuff. And then that's when I got my electric car.
And it's
after that.
ID3.
Yeah, ID3.
Full electric.
Yep.
And so you don't use that for...
Not for teaching at the moment, no. So my teaching car's another Vauxhall Corsa, so I've kind of come full circle with that, funnily enough. But yeah, no, that's my personal car.
And so the ID3, that's not an EV I've had. I've only had I've got the Leaf, but it's my second one.
Yeah.
The first one was the smaller battery one.
Yeah.
And then I had the two hybrids before that. Again, just sort of stepping into the EV world.
Yeah.
How'd you find the ID3?
I really, really like it, actually. I was always really nervous about it because making the jump to electric specifically, I mean, there's lots of anxieties I think people have with it, with range and charging and all these things. The weirdest thing for me was going from manual to automatic.
Really?
Yeah, because I was always one of these people who's like, no, real driving is changing gears and these sorts of things. And I was really embarrassed to say it, but the first time I drove it, I was like, oh my goodness.
Smooth.
This is really nice. Yeah. This is so easy.
You don't really want to go back.
No. If I had a choice, I'd get another one every time now. Yeah.
And what's your charging situation? Are you able to charge from home?
Charger on the driveway like yourself, yeah. So just pod point in the driveway at home, plug it in at night, and don't have any concerns with it. I've done a lot of long trips in it as well. I do take it back down south, which is quite a fun drive. It's about a 500-mile trip, so
wow,
which I can do in 3 charges.
3 charges
which isn't too bad. Yeah,
I have to admit, I've had a full EV since 2018, and I've done a few trips that are sort of 100 miles plus. That's about it.
Yeah.
I'd have a bit of the range anxiety.
Yeah.
You know, my fear is that the charger's broken.
This is a big thing. Yeah. I think this is a big thing with it, is it's, if all the chargers are working and no one's waiting at them, you have an absolutely fine time. But you turn up to these places and I always remember there was a time, not last Christmas, but the Christmas before, I'd driven it back up and it was, got to Gretna Green. I've been driving for 10 hours. Last stop before home. It's a 12-hour drive. So I was 10 hours into my 12-hour drive. Last stop, I'm nearly there. Get to Gretna Green. There's 4 chargers. I know there's 4 chargers. I've been there before. I come around the corner and I see a queue. All 4 are occupied. And there's 1, 2, 3. I'm counting these cars waiting in this queue. I think there were about 12 cars in front of me to get onto these chargers. And you're sitting there going, I've been driving for 10 hours. And you're going, even if they all charge quickly, you're going, that's 1 hour. I was there for 3.5 hours waiting for a charger so I could then do my half-hour charge and get gone. But I think that's the only time I've ever been a little bit grumpy, shall we say, about the situation.
When people say to me, in the beginning, I was all singing and dancing, praising the EVs. You know, everyone should buy one.
Absolutely the same as yourself, yeah.
And then you just find that people sort of have this natural disagreement where you know, it's like, but what about long journeys?
Yeah.
And initially I'd be saying, you should have a break anyway and you should charge up. Now I think I've just lost the fight in me and I'm just like, they're not great for long journeys.
Honestly, I'm the same. I think I agree. When I'm doing the 12-hour drive, you've got to stop and have a couple of breaks. And if I can do it in 3 charges and the charges are free, I don't mind. It feels like I get to the end of it and I'm not completely exhausted because I've had the breaks. That's fine. Having to pay for the coffee and the break, you know, sometimes makes up the difference anyway. But the cost of charging as well on the motorway now is another thing. Ooh.
Well, the cost of energy is what's changed everything.
Yeah, of course.
2018, my first car, I mentioned this on the last podcast, I hit the golden nugget in terms of timing, I think, because the charging was all free.
Okay, yes.
Rapid charging was free. The council was giving you free charging.
Yeah.
In Rosyth, the InstaVolt at the Golf train station across from the petrol station.
Yeah.
Free. Wow. I never said when it was going to end.
Yeah.
So I'd done a day's work. And they were empty. There wasn't that many EVs on the road. I'd easily get on after my shift. Give it 30, 40 minutes. Get it up to about maybe 80% for free every day.
Yeah.
And then I'd go home. And what I stupidly done was I plugged it in to take it to 100%.
Right.
I didn't need to.
Yeah.
Because I didn't need to start with 100%. 80% would have done it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was paying pennies, you know.
Yeah.
Back then. And then it started charging. I can't remember. It was the council was first, and then InstaVolt started charging.
Yeah.
But it was still a lot cheaper than fuel.
Yeah,
a lot cheaper. And then the price of gas and electricity in your house went up massively, and then that's knocked onto the public charges.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't love to have a EV now if you couldn't charge from home.
I completely agree with you. Yeah.
You get the good octopus cheap rates.
Yeah. I was going, and that's the mad difference between the motorway in particular. I think if I'm charging at home, I've sort of spent a lot of time with the spreadsheets working all these things out in the nerdy way that you do. I think it cost me something like, well, at least charging wise, it costs about 4p per kilowatt hour or something at home. And on the motorway, it's as much as 85.
Yeah.
You're paying 20 times as much for your full battery. And at that point...
For the same amount, isn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, a couple of years ago, like you're saying, it was a bit cheaper. I'd do my long journey and it would be, 15, 20 pound a charge. And now it's like 40, 50. And you kind of go, well, why am I sitting here for 40 minutes when I could put a 50-pound tank of petrol in and just get going again?
Aye.
So, yeah.
It's funny, when I was getting it for free and I was spending 40 minutes of my life, I actually thought, I could do this from home and it would probably cost me less than £1 or something.
Yes, yeah, that's it.
And I'm like, what do I want here? Do I want my time or do I want
Oh, my quid. Yeah.
I'd spreadsheets as well.
It's got to be done.
Have you ever driven abroad?
I've not. I've been driven abroad, and it's a terrifying experience.
Yeah.
In fact, as recently as when did I go? I went to Italy last October, November. That was a really strange experience. I found it really hard sitting we were on the coach, and I found it really hard to switch off for about the first couple of hours while we were driving down to Dover. You keep looking over your shoulder as you do, and kind of going, oh, God, what's this coach driver doing? This is terrifying. And then once we got over the ferry, and we start driving on the wrong side of the road, and I've got no idea what's going on, my brain just kind of goes, nope, I've given up now. I just switched off. And
It's bizarre.
Yeah, but I know I've dare I say, fortunately? Well, unfortunately, I've never actually driven abroad, no.
I've only done it once, and before I did it, I always wanted to try it.
Right.
I think it was, I wanted to see what it would be like.
Yeah.
Didn't enjoy it in the slightest.
Yeah. I feel like it's left turns in particular, because you just feel like you've got to check behind you to the left when you've got traffic coming the other. Yeah, it's a weird experience.
Every roundabout I came to, I just had to.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
I had to flip.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything. And I had mentioned this in the last one as well. What does a red filter light mean?
A red filter light? That's a thing?
Yep.
That's a very good question.
This is two driving instructors asking, what is a filter light? Yeah, in Corfu, we came across these traffic lights. Now, I get that red is stop and green is go.
Yeah.
And I get that a filter light overrides a red light. But this was a red arrow.
Filter light.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh.
And it came on and I'm like...
Is this one of those things you Googled when you got back to the hotel? Or?
To this day, I've never actually bothered.
We'll have to do it after the podcast and see what it means.
But I mean, you've got the foreign language, which is either Greek or Cypriot or whatever it was in Corfu, which obviously I can't read. And, and then you've got these... It was funny because I was happiest when I was following someone.
Yeah.
Because I knew I was okay.
But when you're at the front of the queue and you've got all the locals behind you,
And then the car in the front was... And I think it was my wife said, they're going on a ferry. And I was like, shit. And we were almost ended up on this ferry.
Right.
Just because I was following someone.
Brilliant.
No, I think at that point I decided I will happily just be in a bus.
Be chauffeured about. Yes.
Yeah.
I think I'd agree with you on that one.
Right, here's another question. What's your dream car?
That's a very good question. Do you know, weirdly, for a long, long while, I would have said Tesla Model S.
Oh, you're going to break my heart here, aren't you?
I'm not so sure anymore. I've not really found anything to replace it yet. I think I'd still really like one, but...
What about the Roadster?
Oh, not a bad shout either. Yeah. I don't know what the range is like in those.
600 miles.
How many?
600.
Is it really in the Roadster? Oh, there you go. I'll upgrade my opinion and the Roadster it would be.
0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds.
Not bad.
And that's the base model.
That's the base model. Oh, fantastic.
Elon says we're maybe going to put a rocket booster pack.
It's a very Elon thing to say, yeah.
Very Elon, isn't it? Rocket booster pack 0 to 60 in 1.1 seconds.
Goodness me.
Can you just imagine? That's fast.
That's a brilliant learner car, wouldn't it?
Me and my dad got a Tesla Model S. I think it was a 70. Like, it wasn't the fastest one, but we rented it for a day.
Yeah.
And I preferred being the driver to the passenger because we were both pushing it.
Yeah.
But when my dad was pushing it and I'm in the pack, I was like, it's fast.
Yeah.
And that's just a box standard big Tesla Model S.
Yeah.
Which I think is like 0 to 60 in 3, 6, 4.
Something like that, yeah.
But 1.1.
That's mad, yeah.
Cybertruck?
Ooh, I'm not so keen. No, don't like the design. It's too.
Has it not grown on you?
Not particularly. It sort of feels like one of these things where it's just. It looks like it's trying to be vintage in some sort of weird way. I feel like he's gone for alien spaceship and kind of ended up with like what people thought cars would look like in the 60s.
Right.
If they were trying to design a car for today.
Like sharp bits on it, like pointy bits.
Yeah, I don't know. No, never been a big fan of it. I wasn't particularly convinced by the demo of the unbreakable windows either. There
was a reason. It did have a reason for it. It said afterwards, what what was it they done? They hit it with a baseball bat a few times first, and then they threw
threw some
the
sort of
pebble.
metal things at it, didn't they? Yeah.
And I think he said it had weakened it. He should have done it the other way, threw the pebble first and then hit it with the bat or something.
Right. Okay.
But I stuck up for him quite a lot, I feel. So, 1.1 seconds on the Roadster. But then it is something like 125,000 or maybe £250,000 or something.
Yeah, definitely a dream car budget.
But yeah, 600 miles. But not if you drive it at that speed, I guess.
Yeah, probably not if you rocket boost it.
I'll maybe put some pictures on the screen for people that are going, what's a Cybertruck?
What are
What's
these
a
things? Yeah.
Roadster? Right, can we move on to talk about when you decided you wanted to become an instructor?
Yeah, of course.
How did that happen?
So I'd always wanted to teach just generally for years and years and years. And I kind of, if you'd have asked me when I was back at university, what do you want to do when you graduate? I'd have said, I'd like to teach.
Right.
And I just kind of fell into the job I was in. You kind of go, I've gone through the motions. I've got a degree. I better go do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
But in my heart, I was like, no, I really want to teach. This isn't what I want to do. And weirdly, it was one of my friends who was staying with us for a little while who kind of went, I think I might become a driving instructor. And it's just something that had never occurred to me. And he sort of said it, and it went round and round and round for years, weirdly. And I think at the time, this was kind of pre-COVID, and you had it a lot harder than I did, where you had to kind of actually build up your business and probably work quite hard to get the customers and things. And then
different days then.
yeah, and then when I kind of sort of figured out, sort of chat to some people, and kind of go, oh, what's the hourly rate? That's not bad. And we've got 27 people biting our hands off for lessons a day, and you kind of go, that doesn't sound terrible. So I thought, do you know what? I think COVID gives people a lot of perspective on things, and sort of made everyone sort of take a step back and go, am I where I want to be? Is this what I want to be doing? Mm-hmm. And for me, it was really, no, I want to do something for myself. I want to teach. I want to choose my own hours, all these other things. And it was just it just felt like the right time to make the change. And then with the hourly rate, you kind of work out, well, I can do way less hours than I'm currently doing and get paid a similar amount and sort of things like that, which is important for paying your bills and whatnot, obviously.
I find when I have chats with people who don't do this job, that I could easily bring them in and give them this position. Yeah. Sort of friends and stuff. Yeah. And you say to them, this is how much you can earn. Yeah. And they always have the same answer, which is, I don't have the patience. Or
interesting. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm like, people pay you, they pay you well.
Yeah.
Just be patient.
For me, it was I just thought, I had the sort of thought, and then outside around my work, I did my training with Mike and Ross, and sort of thought, I'll give it a go, see how it goes. Really liked it.
You done well with your score?
Did all right. Second time round, the first attempt was a little bit more disastrous, but yeah, the second one wasn't too bad, if I do say so myself.
What went wrong in the first one?
So the first one that was, so I took a chap, and the idea was we were going to do some dual carriageway, slip roads, a bit of faster moving stuff. We'd just touched on them in previous lessons, and we thought, let's go get better at them. And then, so we start doing that. It's all going okay, but we're coming off these slip roads. We're coming up to completely empty roundabouts, and he's stopping for no reason.
Right.
And I'm sitting there going, no, slip roads. No, it's fine. Don't worry. We'll touch on that a bit later. Carry on. Slip roads. And I was just determined that, no, we're going to do these slip roads in my head.
Right.
Even though no matter how much Mike and Ross go, Sam, adapt the lesson. Do what the learner needs. And then all these things, you get there on the day and your brain just goes, this is what I've planned to do. And I just fell into the trap of not changing lesson enough. So I wasn't fixing the other mistakes he was making.
Right.
Was the biggest reason, really. So yeah, not a great score on that one. Second attempt came in and hit the ground running, and went a little bit better.
Yeah, it was superb, eh? Top score, was it?
Yeah, 51 out of 51. So
that's incredible.
Yeah.
And in terms of the training, role play stuff that's involved, because it has to be. It's a mixture, a bit of role play, sitting in cars and stuff. How did you find the role play element?
Very strange. Yeah, it's really difficult, and I think the role play is difficult for a couple of reasons. The first one is because I think it's really hard when you've got someone who can actually drive in that seat, and it's very hard for you to kind of pretend that they can't.
The mistakes
because you see them making mistakes. Like I'll see Mike driving towards a car on the left, and my brain goes, "Oh, I need to fix that," but I'm also going subconsciously, but I know he's not going to drive into that car. As much as he tells me he's going to, I know he's not. So it's really hard to kind of get your brain to, you really do need to react and deal with these things and fix the mistakes people are making. And what was my second reason? I'm sure I had a good one.
There'd be party at that time thinking, come on, this is not real who learners are.
That was exactly my second reason. You've done this before, right? Yeah, and that's the other one. So the first one is you go and I know they're not actually going to do anything dangerous. And the second one, the things they do, you're like, as the first time you met me is a great example. You're sitting there going, there is no way anyone real is going to be this bad. And I kid you not, every single thing I was sat there going, there's no way people are this bad. There's no way people will do that in real life. There's no way. Every single one of them I've seen without fail. Yeah. And every time I've gone, thank you, Micah Ross. Yeah.
It's funny, we've done training ourselves for part 3 stuff, and you just try and say, look, I'm not taking the piss out here. This is real.
Yeah. Yeah.
It might feel like we're taking the piss, but it's just going to come across this.
Absolutely, yeah.
And, if I'm coming really fast up to a junction, you better use those dual pedals.
Yeah.
Right, so you got qualified, started up your own business, and you reckon one day recruit?
I'd like to.
Yeah, I think it's the way to go. I think it's the way to go. I mean, there's a lot of work going around.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I can start to see it. Like the backlog, I feel like it's starting to shift.
Do you think?
I see a lot of instructors that are posting on Facebook saying we've got space now.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm seeing a lot of those posts as well. But I mean, for myself, I'm still probably getting 4 or 5 inquiries a day non-stop, and have done for a long, long while.
Yeah.
But I'm probably not seeing it myself just yet. I don't know if that's just the virtue of me being in St Andrews and there being a lot more demand and a lot fewer instructors there. Because we're a bit of a smaller city, but there's a lot of students coming through who are kind of just wanting to get it done while they're here, sort of thing. Could be a bit of that, but
is most of the work you do with students, or is it fairly mixed?
It's quite mixed. There's a lot of students in there. For my own sake, I try and keep it a little bit more mixed, just because with the students kind of having their holidays like they do, especially with the St Andrews ones, a lot of international students as well. So if they all, as they're about to, in fact, they finish their exams and disappear for the summer, I'm suddenly going, where are 3/4 of my students gone? Which isn't ideal.
But call in the diary.
Yeah, so, and then obviously you end up plugging it, but then people come back and expect lessons, and
it's hard to balance it.
So I've kind of learned some of the lessons the hard way there, with trying to have a bit of a variety there. But I'd probably say a good half of my students at the minute are probably university students, but it's been up higher than that, it's been lower than that.
Yeah. Here's a question that I like to ask other driving instructors. You'll have had this question asked to you many times.
Right.
From your learners, right? How many lessons am I going to need?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yes, the magic question. Yeah, a golden question. And if only there was a good answer to it, huh? But yeah,
Isn't it hard to answer that without just sounding like you're saying, I want lots of money from you?
It is. And you're probably the same. I mean, I try and phrase it along the lines of, look, the DVSA have published stats on this. I'm not just trying to get your money out of you, but average for the UK, I think at the moment they said is 47 hours of lessons plus about 20 hours of private practice on top of that. I think that's the average off the top of my head.
I mean, I guess if you just said roughly 50, that's roughly 1 hour a week, so roughly this will take you a year,
Yeah,
which sounds like a long time.
Sounds like a long time. It sounds like a lot of money to people. But we're not making it up. That is the average. And obviously, that's kind of what I start saying to people. But then everybody's different. Some people learn quicker. Some people learn faster. I've had some people go from first lesson to passed in under 20 hours. And I've had some people who are probably, without naming names, of course, 100+ hours and had lots of instructors and just need a little bit extra. And that's fine too. But
I think... The favourite answer I've had to that question was when they said, how many lessons will I need? The answer is all of them. Yeah, that's a good one. I might adopt that one, actually. I can't remember who said it or where I heard
Brilliant.
It was like, you need all of them.
But that is kind of the answer, isn't it? Is you need as many as you need.
Yeah.
And
sometimes I'll say to people, like, well, if I was going to run over the Forth Bridge and back, and I says to you, how long do you think it would take me? What's your answer? And they always go, I don't know. I don't want to say.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's kind of the same.
That's
idea.
The situation, really. Yeah.
You might take 10 lessons just to master parallel parking.
Yeah.
And that's just one small part of.
Yeah, of course.
Potholes.
Oh God.
I guess you're just the same as we are.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think we've started naming them our way, honestly. Each of them got their own individual names. There's some, though, that have been filled days ago and are already back. And, yeah, it's an absolute nightmare, especially where we are as well, because you probably won't have this as much as me. I pick all my students up, or most of my students up around St Andrews, but then test centre's in Dundee, so we've got to get on the one road to get to Dundee, across the bridge, do all the lesson there, and then chuck ourselves back. But that road, the only road that you can take, nightmare.
So, I heard in Germany, I'm sure it's Germany, they do this thing where it's companies, private companies can pay the council money, say, I don't know, £500.
Right, okay.
And that £500 will fix the pothole.
Right.
And in return, the company's name gets written in it.
Oh, really?
So the company's getting a bit of advertising.
Bit of free advertising of the potholes. Oh, gosh.
Although I don't think we would want our names associated with potholes.
No, maybe not on the potholes. No, true. Have a little plaque by the side saying "fixed by." That'd be nice.
Fixed by. That's a good one. I like that. How are you finding insurance? Instructor insurance? Is it?
So I've only had the one experience of it. I had to buy it in November last year. And I think it cost me £600-700 off the top of my head at the time. And fortunately, I've not had to renew it yet, but I can see all the posts in the groups about people being with the same. I think people seem to say it's like it's nearly doubled in most people's cases, or even worse than that. And
with no reason for it, no claims, nothing.
Yeah, indeed. Because I mean, it's not. I know obviously the cost of living crisis, everything's gone up gradually, but I mean, my own personal car insurance went up a frustrating amount, but it wasn't anywhere near double. So I don't really know what's happening on the instructor side of things. It just seems like it's gone a bit crazy, like I say, for not really any reason I can tell. I'm not entirely sure.
It's quite frightening. I mean, there's you'll have seen all the different companies that do driving instructor insurance.
Yes.
So you've got your choice of them, but when you say, like, I've got the electric car, there's only so many of them.
Of course.
It's bizarre. They seem to think that, I don't know if it's to do with the value of the car, because they tend to be more expensive to buy, or if it's to do with the power of them, or what's it called, the class, the insurance group.
Yes.
But it just seems like, I don't know, a very few percentage of the people, the companies, do electric cars.
Yeah, I gather it's just because they cost so much to start with, parts are more expensive, and I think there's just less stats on them. So insurers just don't know how to grade them on the risk, just because there's so few of them to start with, and then the amount of instructors using them is probably even less than that. I think it's just a stats thing, but
I think I was always about 400 a year, and I was looking at this Tesla Model 3. See, I can understand that being a bit more expensive, but this was a standard Model 3.
Yeah.
Similar price to the one I've got the Leaf for buying it.
Yeah.
Similar size, I guess. And it was like £1,500 I wanted. Christ, I'm like, it's practically the same car.
Yeah.
Mad.
Absolutely.
Have you had a standards check since you?
Nope. Just the 2 attempts at the Part 3.
And are you meant to be getting one, or are they just going to leave you alone because you did so well?
As far as I know, there used to be something about they did like a checkup after 6 months. As far as I'm aware, they're not doing that anymore. I think if nothing else, just to try and reduce the waiting times for other people, because it wasn't a official one. So I think they've binned those for now, just to try and get through the important ones, and quite rightly so. So as far as I'm aware, I'm being left alone until I get the letter through the door with the trigger points all the 4 years.
That was another thing on my list, is trigger points.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this?
It's a strange one because, my trigger points at the moment are quite good. So personally, I'm not too upset by them. But I find it kind of strange that, a learner's nerves on the day can affect your appearance, if you like, as an instructor to the DVSA, because how we present pupils for test, obviously, I've sat in the car with them for 40 hours. I'm pretty darn convinced they can drive at that point. Yeah. But what the examiners and what the DVSA see is a very small snippet of a very nervous person in a very different situation. And so do I think it's the fairest system in the world? Not really. Do I have any better ideas? That's the magic question as well, isn't it?
They spoke about for years they spoke about instructors who, like you said, we know them.
Yeah.
We know our guys.
Yeah.
Should we be able to sign them off and say, look,
Yeah.
they're good enough. We've seen them, they can do this, or maybe can we sign them off on their parts of the driving so they've got less to do with the examiner.
Sure.
But I guess it was always going to come down to they'll just bribe their pals. Yeah.
Yeah, and you make your own pass rate looks good and all things, couldn't you, as well? The thing I find strange is we have these standards checks in this profession, but I can't think of many others that have a sort of similar system. I mean, schools perhaps have their Ofsted inspections and things, but I mean, like, you have an electrician come around your house. I mean, the codes for what things they have to do change every year, and they have to keep up with that and do training to make sure that's happened, but they don't have someone from the government come around and go, sorry, mate, you've only got 23 on your score today, and we've checked your last RCD fitting and it was below your trigger points, so we're taking your electrician badge off you. It's a weird concept to me because it's not something that happens in many other professions. And I understand the need for it. Obviously, being on the road is an important thing. It's a bit more safety critical, but it is. I find it weird that it exists in this profession and not others.
I think you're right. I agree with you. I think it's a horrible system for us. It's like I've always said, we should get the credit for when they pass.
Yeah.
But not if we shouldn't be getting the
Yeah, totally.
If they fail, it's not on us, right? We don't teach people to fail.
You wouldn't present someone for a test unless you're convinced they can drive safely. I think that's, at least as a good instructor, I don't think you'd do that.
I don't know if there's people that still do that, and I've got a funny feeling there might be, and I think that's potentially what this new system's designed to find and get rid of.
Yeah.
I haven't. My last time was 2016, I think.
Oh, okay.
For my last standards check.
Well, it sounds like it's due then.
It's bound to be. It's bound to be.
Waiting for the brown letter through the door any day.
But my triggers are fine at the moment. I'm keeping my head above
But your YouTube video on this was really interesting as well. Like you said, I think you had that video where you're watching this chap go around. He's doing an absolutely fine job, but then he makes one mistake on what was otherwise actually quite a good drive, and that one mistake suddenly hits.
It hit 3.
Yeah, you get an examiner intervention, a fail, and a serious, and you kind of go and that's where I think it gets a bit harsh. Now I understand they've got to come up with some ways to grade these things, but like you say, one mistake on what's otherwise a good test, knocking you down on 3 out of your 4 points, that's enough to 3 out of 4 is enough to trigger a standards check. That's
right, and I remember that was going up. Townhill Road.
It was a meeting situation, I think.
Right? There was a van. I think he should have held back, and he went. It was 5 minutes for the end of the test, literally on the way back.
Yeah.
Not a single fault recorded, and that was the one and only thing that ended up being on the sheet. And it was a strange thing because initially I found myself being quite and then I'm like, actually, you couldn't have been closer to a clean sheet.
Yeah.
One incident.
That's it.
Bizarre.
Very strange, yeah.
But every time I get an instructor in here, I'm interested to know what they think about these damn triggers. But
yeah, indeed, and I mean, there's also something to be said about how different the standards check is from a real lesson as well. Mm-hmm. I think I think there's certain things that you have to do on the day that wouldn't necessarily do all the time.
I remember speaking to an examiner about this, and I said, look, I was just saying about how like you just feel that it's such an unnatural thing having somebody watch you.
Yeah.
And I remember she says to me, it was dead nice. She said, we get checked as well, and we don't like it, and we get the nerves as well. Yeah. So it was quite a nice thing to say. Like,
yeah, sure.
As it goes up the chain, everyone probably feels the same.
Everyone gets checked. Yeah.
Speaking of YouTube videos,
yes,
big fan of yours.
Oh, thank you very much. I could do a few more on there at the moment. I've got a few ready to go. Yeah,
it's been a while since you posted, is it?
Yeah, I've got a couple in the bank ready to go. It's just finding time to get them edited, isn't it?
Takes a while.
It does.
I said to you before, what I like about yours is how you're very optimistic and pleasant throughout. And I sometimes think when I'm making mine, I'm like, I've told them 100 times. Whereas you're just like, they're coming up. You're going to see a little faulty here.
I've pulled him away from the curb for the 3rd time. Yeah, he's doing fine. Yeah, he'll learn.
And the fact that you can chat for that whole because I thought about doing the sort of whole 40-minute thing, and I thought I'm just going to do the bits and skip.
Just the key bits, yeah. I've kind of tried to. I think my channel's not quite hit the nice. You need some sort of like enough followers and watch time and things before you can get the little. I think they're called chapters, where you can click on the timeline and see.
Oh, you don't get them in the beginning?
No,
Right.
you've got to have enough subscribers or whatever metrics YouTube use. So I've tried to put the key bits in there so people can click on and see, oh, serious fault, I'll watch that. But also I've sort of said to the guys who I do the tests with, I'm sort of like, I think it's really useful to you to be able to watch it back and also just to hear what I'm thinking about as you're going around and what sort of things we're looking for from you.
Yeah.
Just even when you're driving normally on a straight bit of road, there's always something interesting to be talking about. Yeah. And if there's not, that's why I just fast forward it anyway.
I like them. I just like listening to the way that you describe what's coming up and that.
Sure.
That's good to hear. I think you're a lot more patient than I.
Well, it's like you were saying at the beginning, isn't it? You need a lot of patience to do this job, probably. Yeah. But also, it's worth saying, probably the same as yourself, you see the result of about 73 takes of us doing this commentary over the top. So my very calm, here's what you're about to see, was probably a lot of, with all the, oh, my goodness, it's undo.
It's funny. If you're geeky, it doesn't feel like worky.
That's it, yeah.
It's like doing this kind of stuff and the YouTube channel. Right, we've been driveling on for 46 minutes, so we should probably think about wrapping it up at some point soon. Sure. One of the questions I've got written down here that I want to ask you is, what hobbies do you have outside of work?
Oh, gosh, that is a good question. Mostly nerdy ones, to be honest. I think you probably gathered from the
I like it.
Things we're into. Do a bit of sound engineering, obviously, playing Kaylee bands, all sorts of fun things like that, which is where I got half the sound knowledge I do from. Play a bit of guitar for that. Solve a Rubik's Cube in 30 seconds.
No, right. Can you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
Is that because you've memorised the...
It's just a big memory test, really. Yeah. If you're about to ask, do you just undo the moves as they come in? Then
no, I've done it before. I've Googled and but I'm pretty sure I needed the instructions in front of me.
Yeah.
And it done it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I could do it from memory.
Yeah, it's like you solve it in layers, and the first two you can sort of figure out yourself if you spend enough time with it, and then the top one, it's just memorising algorithms to move the things around as you...
But muscle memory.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just like driving, weirdly.
So 30 seconds, Rubik's Cube solving. Good. Yeah. Bit of sound engineering.
Yeah.
And...
I've had a bit of a midlife crisis and got into snowboarding recently. Thought I'd try and keep myself fit somehow, doing something I enjoy rather than just going to the gym.
And where did you do that?
Glenshee.
Yes.
Yeah, indeed. Glenshee. You can get up to Glencoe as well, which is a little bit nicer, but a bit further away. Broke a rib at the beginning of the year doing it. It's good fun.
Oh.
Made driving a bit difficult for a bit, but...
And there's no cure for that? You just got to...
Nope, that's just suck it up for a bit and try not to breathe too much.
I think I've asked you all the questions. Oh, there's one that I've not asked you.
Yeah, go for it.
Funny sayings that you find yourself saying that help learners remember things.
2 for this that I quite like.
Uh-huh.
First one is from my dad, I inherited. He used to say all the time, particularly when you're sort of sitting at a busy junction, busy roundabout, and you get some people, they start going and they kind of hesitate a bit. I'm like, no, it's a good gap. But the saying is just, if you're going to go. That's number one. Right. And then one that I quite like saying myself is just, it's nice to be polite to people and sort of let people out of junction and things. But what I always say is, especially when you've got right of way somewhere, don't be polite, be predictable. It's something I really like saying to people. So there's nothing wrong with being polite at times, but it's much more important to be a predictable driver, I think. So people behind you know what you're doing, so you're not just stopping randomly in the middle of the road.
I like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Don't be polite, be predictable is my favourite.
I like that. And I've got a funny feeling like the more I ask this kind of question and get answers, I find myself using them.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely ones that I've sort of read on some of these Facebook groups. You kind of go, ooh, that's good. I'll steal that one. Yeah, see how that goes down.
The one I like, and I think it might be Jamie, one of my Jamies, they always talk about pizza and a roundabout. And they talk
drive on the pizza crust?
Yes, crust.
There you go, yep.
And it's funny because it sounds that cheesy. It sounds I didn't mean that. It just sounds ridiculous.
But it is exactly right, absolutely, yeah.
But when they're not going wide enough round, you tend to just sort of say, yeah, get around the crust.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've got lots of them because...
They just sort of come out, don't they, throughout the day?
So, I'm pretty sure I could write a book about the amount of daft things I talk about.
I've definitely had those days where you kind of get back at the end and you kind of go, I must have said that same thing about 9 times today. Yeah.
I remember once I was coming. I don't know. Do you know the film well?
Not particularly. I might do. Probably seen some of the tricky bits.
Coming down St Margaret's Drive towards this roundabout, and then you take the second exit, which feels and looks like a left turn, but it's not. There's a first exit just before the one that we're taking, so it's just it's a head second exit.
Yeah,
sat nav says left. Just with the algorithm and the sat nav.
Yeah,
but you spend a day, people say no, you don't signal yet. No.
Yeah.
And then it's been a long day, and then you're driving home and you put the signal on yourself. You're like, nope.
There's definitely plenty of times I've done something and gone, I'm glad I wasn't a learner in the car there. Yeah.
I'll give myself a minor for that one.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, Sam, we'll wrap up. I think that's good enough.
Sure.
I'm happy I've asked you all the questions I was going to ask.
Brilliant.
And I hope your channel does well.
Thank you very much.
On YouTube. I know that the algorithm works in funny ways.
It does, yes.
And the longer the videos that you have, and the less that people watch of them.
Oh, it's like watch time is a big thing, isn't it?
It's
yeah.
like if you only get an average of like 1 minute of 40 being watched, YouTube thinks this is not a valuable video.
I keep getting very tempted to do. I like the long form videos for people's benefit. I get really tempted just to cut the key bits out and make shorts and things out of them as well. I think that might be the.
You've got to go down TikTok route.
Well, even Mike's on there now, isn't he? So I mean, if he's on there, I'll probably better up my game. Really.
TikTok. Honestly, I just think every time I hear TikTok, I cringe.
Yeah, indeed. I think I'm just a bit too old for that, but it does seem to be what everyone's on these days.
It's for the kids, are they?
Yeah, Facebook is a thing of the past, apparently.
That's news to me. People.
Yeah, only us old people on there now.
Right, thank you so much.
No, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Here's my wee jingle to play us out.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Sam. And done. Done.